we live in a remarkable time. We are unique amongst life on this planet in that we have thoughts. And not only do we have thoughts about our thoughts. So when we have ideas, we go, wow, that's a great idea, or that was a terrible idea, or why did I even think of that? So all these things happen. But because of that, we strive to understand the world, to unpack it, to understand it, and to ultimately conquer it. So once we understand things, we develop technology in order to understand it further and to take us to better places. And through this process, we have arrived at a time in history that is the safest, healthiest, and most prosperous that it has ever been. There has never been a better time to be alive than right now. And it's because we've always looked to understand and develop technology to take us there. And this picture for me, there's no picture that more gives the idea of the human desire to know more and to go further. This is the greatest selfie of all time. In 1977, 2 spacecraft were launched, Voyager 1 and 2, and their job was to go and explore the outer planets. Voyager 1, after traveling for 6 billion kilometers and 13 years, on Valentine's Day 1990, turned around and took this picture. This is a picture of Earth from 6 billion kilometers away. It's a remarkable human achievement that we were able to do this. But one of the consequences of all this driving forward and developing technology, in addition to being the healthiest, safest, and most prosperous time, we find ourselves a little overwhelmed by technology, a little uncertain about where to go, which is why there are speakers such as Michael and Graham and others who talk about managing that change process, because we have a very complicated and emotional relationship with change. Most of us love change because we all know people and know organizations that should change. And we say, change is awesome. You definitely need to change. And he could do with some change, but not us. When it comes for us, we freak out a little bit. So when it comes to technology, there is a sense of denial about its impact in the world, about its impact in our organizations. And we're all somewhere in this process. Either we're comfortable and we say, you know what, we've been in business for 20 years. We don't need new technology. We understand it. Our clients will always need us and need our expertise. But then some disruption comes along and changes an entire industry, the way business happens. And we go, well, you know what, it's a bit of a fad. It'll come, it'll go, because our customers will always need our expertise and our knowledge and our deep experience. And as we realize that it's not a fad, it's here to stay, so the resistance builds. And there's almost an insistence, an obdurate insistence of not embracing technology. But at some point, we realize that it is here, this is now an industry standard, and our customers are demanding better technology. And well, why, what I'm getting from these guys, I'm not getting from you. So there's a grudging acceptance of it. But the problem with that is now we do old things with new technology. We make PDFs of all of our training manuals and we put them onto tablets and we went digital. And we don't understand why nobody reads them and they hate them and we get nowhere. Because there's no vision, there's no understanding that new technology brings new ideas, greater vision. So somewhere along the line, we go, well, fine. We're using it now, but now we're so far behind. We're no longer market leaders. We're just struggling to get to square zero. Never mind regain any market share. But as you embrace technology, you begin to understand where it can take you. So we have vision again. We get excited and we're making progress. And then very quietly, we slip back into just being comfortable. We changed, we transformed. Here we are, we don't need to do it anymore. And so the cycle begins. So all of us are here somewhere in that, and we've got to somehow break that, because wherever you are in the cycle informs the decisions you make about the future of your own job, about where your business is going. And then you're either making decisions from a place of progress, of vision, or you're making it from a place of fear and resignation. And where do you want to be? The more technological we become, the more we understand and coming to see that humans become more and more important. The more technology we have, the more we are seeing that we've got to understand our people, our teams, the people who work with us, the people who work for us, and our customers. So before we change what we do, because we hear a lot about digital transformation, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, but perhaps before we change what we do, we've got to change how we think and change the way we think. So transformation, and the buzzword over the last 3-5 years has been digital transformation. But we've arrived at a point where it really is business transformation, because digital can't be separated from the world that we live in. It is a part of everything we do. But in truth, the technology is easy. Think of something you want to do. You can find an app or something that will help you do it. But until we've got the hang of the people, we're going to struggle in the process. So transformation in this sense means transforming our teams, the way, reinventing how we work together, transforming the customer experience, and then finally transforming our very businesses. There are new ways to drive revenue, to add value, and those become apparent when we adopt a digital way of thinking about it. So if you think about reinventing the way we work together, for the last 5 years, you couldn't go to a conference without somebody talking about millennials. Millennials this, millennials that, and it's going to change everything. Well, forget about the millennials. We need to be terrified of the digital natives. These are people born after 2000. People who've not had to learn technology, they just picked it up as they went along. If you have young children, think of them being in the workplace. They're coming. The first of those digital natives are 18 years old now. They're coming into the job force, the workforce, and they're really going to radically change how we think about work. And we're seeing swings. We have the hippies of Google who made campuses with free bananas and Wi-Fi and all sorts of cool things. And we're all remote work, and nobody has to come to the office. Everybody stay at home and work. And so there's a bit of a pendulum swing coming back, or maybe it's a balance between the two, as Justin alluded to. It isn't a one-size-fits-all, what is right for our businesses. But we know that how we worked together in the 90s is not appropriate for a digital economy, an age, the 21st century digital age. And then at the heart of any effort to transform, of course, has got to be your customer. And all you're trying to do is build a frictionless business. If you think about how you use technology yourself, you use it to remove friction from your life. If you imagine this conference was happening 20 years ago, in 1998, and you were watching a movie, and in that movie was a song that you really, really liked. How hard was it to own that song 20 years ago? It was difficult, because you first had to watch the entire movie and watch the credits so you could get the name of the song. And if you've ever done that, that part goes really quick, so you're going to miss it. So then you have to go to a music shop at a mall, a shopping center somewhere that's open. They've got business hours, so you have to make it while they're open. And it might be 2 kilometers, 5, 10 kilometers from your home, and you arrive there and you walk and you say, I'm looking for this song. And he says, no problem, what's it called? Not sure. Well, who's the artist? Not sure. But it goes like this. And then what follows is a very awkward interchange of you trying to recreate the song. And then you listen to a few, and then finally you hear the song you want. You say, that's it, I want to buy that song. And he says, no problem, here it is on a CD with 16 other songs that you don't want. So that was hard, a lot of effort, time and energy from the decision to own it to the time to having it. That friction is gone. Because the music industry, being the first to be really massively transformed by technology, removed that friction. If you hear a song today, you're Shazamming it or Googling it or Siri's helping you out. You've got the artist, and then either legally or otherwise, some way you can download and have access to that music. All the friction has disappeared. Where is the friction in your business? All the effort to embrace technology is about understanding where friction is for your customers. And friction presents itself in many ways. I mean, there have been conversations where there was almost a multi-million deal that was closed, but it wasn't closed. Why not? Customer didn't fill out his forms. What? How is that even possible? So where is the friction? It might be in the auto-respond email. If I send you an email and I get an instant response that says, thanks for your email, we'll endeavor to deal with your inquiry in 24 to 48 hours. And all you're telling me is you're too busy for me. Why am I waiting for you to be ready for my business? Websites that have phone numbers buried 5 menus deep, I can't even phone you. And those are superficial examples of it, but the friction runs pretty deep. And when you understand the friction from your customer's perspective, then you can find technology to make that journey and process easier. And when we think about our teams, we've got to view each other as customers. Your job in a business is either dealing directly with a customer or servicing somebody within the business who serves a customer. Yet, as soon as we get more than 2 people together, we start to play politics, and people within a business build all sorts of friction between themselves. But the whole frictionless journey should be the same within the workforce, with each other? How do we make it frictionless for each other in order to deliver that frictionless experience for customers? And when we don't do it, we create a bizarre situation. But then we have to think about, how do we disrupt a business? How do we transform a business? And this is the hardest thing to do. All the great disruption we see in the world has come from outside the industries being disrupted. Because if you've been in the same business for 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, you have learned to think in a very particular way. And people say, let's think outside the box. Well, the truth is, most of us are not even sure where the box is. And so we think we're thinking outside, yet perhaps we aren't. And now we live in this world where social media wants to be our bank. Our banks want to sell us technology. And technology businesses want to get involved in our healthcare. At what point did those become good ideas? At some point, somebody in Google went, hey, we should get into healthcare. And somebody else went, that's a good idea. So we disrupt ourselves by asking ourselves all the questions, all the crazy questions. You know, should we get into this? Maybe not, but have we properly explored it? But when we think of all of this idea of transformation and building a frictionless business and that thinks digitally, when we don't, we create this bizarre situation where your people know where they want to go. Your customer knows they want to go to the top of the hill and view the sunset. They know how to get there. There is a perfectly serviceable road to take them there. And you're saying, please, will you take the middle lane? And as you struggle over the bumps to get there, you say, I don't understand. I can see there's a road right here. Why do I have to go the slowest possible way? And this is the new normal. We are in a time of new normal. We're living through a period of prolonged transition. And by all evidence, that is going to continue for another generation. So the new normal is a state of transition. If you feel like you're on top of things, like you've got things under control, you have already started to fall behind. We should all be waking up with a knot in our stomachs about how we're going to move forward, how we're going to do things differently, how we're going to challenge what we did for ourselves and our businesses yesterday. But when we do it, there are remarkable things to be done. And perhaps you don't feel when I say the world is healthier, safer, and more prosperous than it has ever been. Perhaps you want to challenge that statement and are not entirely convinced, because it is Monday morning and the trains were delayed and it was a struggle just to get here. But realize that as we strive to improve, so do our standards improve. The things that outrage us today didn't outrage us just a generation ago. And that's because we have moved forward. And there are incredible things to go to take us even further from here if we understand what digital thinking is all about. If we're willing to embrace this idea of constant transition to take us forward and into the future. Because really there has never been a greater time to do great things. Thank you very much.